Motoring 2012 on TSN is brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward.
As we've said many times before on motoring, the bright side of higher fuel prices is that hopefully consumers will turn to smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles. The question is, how small is small? We've seen the Mercedes-Benz Smart Car, most recently, of course, the Fiat 500. Well, this week we're in beautiful, foggy Nova Scotia, and it's here that Toyota is going to launch what they call the world's smallest four-passenger car. It's the Scion IQ, and it's part of a new campaign simply called Wackadoodle. Seriously.
Wackadoodle means heart-pumping adrenaline racing, and what it is, it's basically the handling of the vehicle, the performance, the sportiness.
It makes sense to have smaller cars that can fit 3-4 people in a pinch and allow people to drive in the city, keep fuel costs down.
One of the things that we did today was not just show it off in an urban environment, but to get out of the city and drive longer distances. Because what we wanted to demonstrate was that a small urban runabout doesn't have to be, confined to the city.
It certainly is fun to drive. The suspension seems a bit stiff, but I think part of that is attributable probably to the tiny wheelbase. Some of the roads that we were on were heavily damaged and well-traveled, if you will, and so it tended to pitch around a little bit more than probably you'd expect from a family-type car, even a tiny family car.
But they've also corrected one of the things that I hated about CVT transmissions. They've electronically programmed in shift points, so it isn't the monotonous drone under acceleration at maximum RPM. It actually sounds like it's doing something.
Now, the Scion will be driven in mostly urban environments in the city, but I'm on the highway right now and it's handling itself pretty well. I'm doing about just under 120 kilometers and I'm cruising at about 2,800 RPM, but I'm sure as you can hear, there's a lot of road noise coming into the cabin. And as far as the interior goes, if you compare the interior of this Scion to some of the competition, maybe not the Smart Car, but certainly the Fiat 500, the Fiat 500 has it beat. The 500 has that nice young funky interior, while inside here, well, it's kind of simple and kind of plain.
With the 11 airbags, you feel confident when you drive. You feel confident when you take those turns because of the steering, the handling, the sportiness. And it's since it's mono-spec, you have all your standard features, power windows, power locks, air conditioning, and it's all there for you. Drives like a regular car, but since it's so compact, it makes it so agile and good looking, to tell you the truth.
Definitely the Fiat, the bigger car, much more room inside for 4 people. And of course the Smart Car, a 2-seater, you only get 1 passenger to go along. Comparatively, I don't think even any of those, either the Fiat or the Smart Car, holds a candle to the Scion in terms of handling, in terms of ride, in terms of performance.
They're billing it as the world's smallest 4-passenger vehicle. Give me a break. Can you see me back here? And I'm average height. Believe me, you don't want to be passenger 3 or 4. Now, if it gives you any comfort, there are 11 airbags in this car, including an industry first with 1 in the back window. Luggage space? There isn't any. However, if you've got 2 people in the car, these back seats will fold down flat. Oh, and one more thing, if I can get out of here. You might think that all small cars have a good turning radius. Well, believe me, they don't. However, Toyota says the new Scion IQ is best in class when it comes to that. But they have a really weird way of demonstrating it.
They said they were going to have 2 king-size mattresses for us to try it on, and instead they just marked it out on the road, so I had to do a little planking exercise just to prove that it was in fact the king-size mattress I fit on there. So.
We believe that the future of the Canadian car industry belongs to small cars.
I think it has enough funkiness and enough practicality to attract buyers that would, say, never go to a Fiat. I think the Fiat's going to have its buyers, but I think the Scion IQ is going to have more.
When do rights turn into wrongs? Coming up later on Kenzie's Corner.
It was born and bred on the Autobahn, so it promises a little alacrity. On this edition of Test Drive, the Porsche Cayman R. The Cayman R is a serious driver's car. The stiff chassis and suspension combine to dial out basically all body roll. This keeps the tyres planted and the cornering force is well up the scale. Naturally, the steering is wonderfully weighted and its precision is just about perfect. Ditto the brakes. Even after several back-to-back full-on stops, there was no evidence of fade. Now the downside is the rather harsh nature of the ride when it's driven normally. This Cayman R decimated the pylon test like no car before it. It obeys driver input with unerring accuracy and it sticks to the tarmac like you know what to a blanket. It really is truly remarkable. What's more remarkable is this car did all of that whilst it was wearing snow tyres. Can you imagine how good it would be with regular rubber? The Cayman R is a road rocket that has a truly sweet powertrain. While it employs the same 3.4 litre flat six as all but the base model, the numbers have been up to 330 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque at 4750 RPM. That's a lot of power in a 1320 kilogram roller skate. This equates to terrific performance. It takes the Cayman R all of 5 seconds to run from rest to 100 kilometers an hour, and it accomplishes the 80 to 120k passing move in 3.2 seconds. As is true of many Porsches, the interior, well, they've taken a minimalist approach. However, it is driver-centric. Tachometer takes central space in the instrumentation. These seats hug you and they will not let go. Everything is laid out so you can wring the absolute best out of this vehicle when you're driving it quickly. The downsides, well, it does feel rather claustrophobic in here, and the sight lines to the rear, just be careful when you're backing up. The stampeding ponies are fed to the P265 35R19 rear tyres through a locking rear differential and Porsche's optional PDK twin-clutch transmission. It is as good as any I have ever tested, and simply because of its operational logic, it's bang on. Leave it alone and it's an accommodating automatic. Pull back on a paddle and the shift is instantaneous. Select manual and it's just that. Thank you. One of the things I noticed during test drive was that this car could do with a rear wash wiper. So I went to Porsche Canada's website. There it is. Yes, indeed, you can get a rear wash wiper as an option. So I decided to check the rest of the options. Well, there are a lot of them. This car starts at $75,600. By the time you add all of the available options, you're looking at a car that'll set you back over $130,000. That's not nickel and diming, that's bucking a potential customer. And yes, that was with a B. When the PDK transmission is along for the ride, the Cayman R offers 3 distinctly different driving modes. They really do change the R's personality. The normal mode is for about town. Crank up the tone of the drive and the sport mode comes into its own. The throttle is sharper and each gear is held a little longer to emphasize the R's true potential. For those track days, there is the Sport Plus setting. It includes a launch control function, even faster gear shifts, and it allows the back end to go walkabout a lot further than the other 2 modes. If you're looking for a track car, this Cayman R is as good as you're going to find. It has got a ton of power, the handling is truly tenacious, and it goes wherever the driver points it. And if you turn all the nannies off, well, you can drift through your favourite corner. Well, you look like a pro. On the flip side, it's a tough car to live with on a daily basis. The cabin, a bit claustrophobic, the rear sight lines, not so good. And if you're going to drive it on a daily basis, just make sure you've got a very good dental policy.
Michelin, a better way forward.
During the winter months in the province of Quebec, you must drive on winter tires. It's the law. So it seems fitting that we find ourselves at the Mégaglice racetrack just north of Montreal. This is home to the Michelin Winter Driving Academy. Now, Michelin is introducing a brand new winter tire, and the company is so pumped up about this tire that it's invited automotive journalists from across North America to drive its brand new X-Ice 3, and they're going head-to-head with its competition.
Winter tire has always been a challenge for any company like ultra high performance tire because they're very complicated to make. And it's true, we've been making tires for a long time. We've achieved new level of performance with the first generation X-Ice, and now we're quite happy and very proud to introduce a third generation X-Ice tire, which is an improvement over, of course, the preceding generations. We've always believed that winter tire is the best way to be safe. That's the only way to be safe in winter.
We're always looking at demonstrating, the technologies that we have that our competitors don't have. So, and the media is always very interested in making comparisons, right, with other big brand names that are out there as well. The product itself provides up to 10% better ice traction, ice braking capabilities than the competitive set in Canada.
Did you notice any difference?
We're hosting media from all over North America. The hopes is for us to demonstrate to them what our internal testing demonstrates, and obviously a big advantage over this new product, the Michelin X-Ice 3, versus the leading competitors in the marketplace.
We have Nokian tires, Nokian Acapelita they call. We have Toyo, we have Goodyear's, all the big brands, Bridgestone is there. We have actually one called Quebec tire, which is lower brand, but it's interesting to show the difference between a tire that looks good but that doesn't perform very well. The X-Ice 3 so far has been ahead of all the tires that we have tested here all week long.
I think what was different was they made a better mousetrap, as they say. And when you look at a tire, you say, well, it's great on ice, or it's predictable on snow, or it has great acceleration or braking. But to get all of that in every size, from a 15-inch tire, which has a huge sidewall, to a 20-inch tire, which has a little teeny sidewall, is hard to make that happen. So the engineers really put their heads together on this and thought, what's missing in the market? What's not being done?
And what's really important, especially for Canadian consumers, because they're not only looking for safety, but they're also looking for longevity. This product lasts up to twice as long, right, as the leading competitive set in Canada. You're talking about a product that's going to last you 5 seasons, the Michelin X-Ice 3.
Just the whole setting, the way they set up the tracks, the way that they did the different testing, so you could really get a great feel against all of the competitors in real situations where you had tires that actually had wear on them, brand new tires, different curves, different braking situations. So I really got a good feel with all of the tires and what they could do. I like to have real world driving situations. So when we're doing our reviews on autospies.com, it really helps us to be able to point people in the right direction, because a lot of people are out there looking for the opinion that they're going to get the truth.
I have BlizzX on my car. This tire is not available yet, but it's much better than the BlizzX that are out there. It's much better than the other brands, and that was proven today.
There's new technology out there which is going to change how we all drive our cars. A lot of people think it's cool. Want to see what I think? Come to Howard Elmer at motoringtv.com.
Range anxiety is still very much a real issue. And until they overcome the range anxiety issue, people that are going to buy electric cars are going to be far and few between. It's a strange move. I think they're brave for doing it, but sometimes bravery is also mistaken for being foolhardy. And I think they're foolhardy in this instance.
Our motoring tip of the week concerns a winter safety kit for your vehicle. Now you can buy a winter safety kit or you can put together your own, but it's important that you have one in your vehicle regardless of what kind of vehicle you have. Even if you've got a four-wheel drive vehicle that's great in the snow, you could have an overwhelming snowfall like we had last winter on Highway 402, where hundreds of motorists were caught out in the middle of nowhere for several days. In that situation, you need to have warm clothing, a blanket, some food. Nuts are great. You need to have some water, and you need to have a candle, a metal cup to hold it, something to light it, because a candle can warm the interior of a car and last for hours and hours. And you need to stay with that vehicle, because if you think you can walk to safety, many people have tried that and perished in a storm trying to do so. If you can see your target, your goal, where you need to get to, and you can get there safely, that's one thing. But lots of times people wander around in circles and get lost in a snowstorm. You also need to have things like booster cables, a shovel to clear the tailpipe so you can run the engine periodically to get the car warm. And if you go online, you can find all those things that should be in your safety kit and all those little tricks like running the car periodically and clearing the tailpipe. These are all great little tips that might help you survive a winter storm when you can't get through it. That's your motoring tip of the week.
Time to welcome our newest member to the Motoring Long-Term Garage, the Volkswagen Passat 2.5. As we mentioned on a previous episode, later we're going to be featuring the TDI and the Passat V6. Now, the Passat marks the return of Volkswagen production to the United States. In fact, we had a chance to visit the plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is building only Passats. We'll have that story on a future program. The new edition is definitely aimed at the North American market, especially the United States, and it's bigger, roomier, and has a trunk big enough for a small family. Now, the 2.5 is the base engine, although the previous generation sported a 2-liter turbo with 200 horsepower. Now, after just a short time behind the wheel, I describe this engine as adequate, and it stays in line with much of its competitors as they're all into 4-cylinder powertrains. Now, a 5-speed manual is standard on the 2.5, but I would opt for the optional 6-speed automatic with Volkswagen's direct shift gearbox. It comes with a price tag of about $1,400, but it's well worth it. Any pet peeves yet? Well, stay tuned for our next update.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Chevrolet Crew 140S.
It was designed as an affordable exotic. They wanted to have sort of essence of that Lamborghini, very cab forward, and I mean by that with the glass landing very far forward in the car, giving the car a very kind of aggressive, very sporty feel to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Chevrolet Code 130R.
Second car, the Code 130R. That was played on a bit more the heritage of Chevrolet, using cues from the very voluptuous kind of like fenders from the Camaro and the Corvette. So they both complement each other, but both definitely hit a different buyer. Well, the platform on both the cars is very real. The true 140S was based on the same platform as the Cruze or the Volt. And the 130R, that's based on a Cadillac platform, but they've both been designed on very, very real platforms. Like, these are not blue sky concepts. We have the intention to want to move forward with them.
Closed captioning of Motoring 2012 is brought to you by
Greener, fuel efficient, global. This is Chevrolet Now, driving our world forward.
In every civilized society, there are laws, and by definition, a law restricts your freedom. You don't have the right to just kill anybody you want. But we also, as a civilized society, have a certain number of rights and freedoms. In Canada, it's the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the idea is to prevent governments from turning the whole thing into a police state. The question is always a matter of balance. What are you prevented from doing? What are you allowed to be doing? And essentially, at least in my view, the overriding principle is how do we do the least amount of harm to the most number of people? Now we got two situations going on in Canada right now, one in Ontario, one in British Columbia, which represent the opposite sides of this particular discussion. In Ontario, the police can pull you over if you're going 50k over the speed limit, impound your car, huge fines, license suspension. It's a pretty draconian situation. That particular law was challenged in Supreme Court and found to be constitutional. It was not contrary to Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms. In British Columbia, for the past year, they've been running a spot check program. This was challenged under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and the British Columbia Supreme Court judge says it is not constitutional, it is contrary to the Charter. Now I ask myself, what's the difference here? We know that speed limit enforcement has nothing to do with traffic safety. That's been proven time and time again. If you're going 49k over the limit, you're okay. If 50k over the limit, you're thrown in jail. But in BC, for the 1 year they've been running the spot check program, drunk driving convictions were down 40%. That's a huge saving. How can a judge rule that that particular situation is unconstitutional and allow these drunks to get away with it, whereas in Ontario, they pull you over for doing 50 over the limit? I just don't get it. So come on, judges, give your heads a shake. I'm Jim Kenzie.
When I first saw the Mercedes-Benz Smart Car, I liked it. I liked the whole idea of a car that small until I drove it and experienced one of the worst transmissions I ever encountered. Then came along the Fiat 500, without a doubt the funkiest, coolest small car on the market today. It just needs a better engine. And that brings us to the 2012 Scion IQ. It's a cute looking car, but doesn't have that funkiness on the exterior or interior of a Fiat 500. But of the three small cars, the Scion without a doubt has the best drivability. Lots of pep even on the highway, and it's great around town. But now we come to price, and Toyota likes to brag, and why not, that this is the cheapest of the three at $16,760. However, once you add the destination and shipping and taxes and so on, you are close to $20,000. All the manufacturers do this with the prices. It just tells you that because they're small, doesn't mean they're going to be cheap. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
The heart of the car is a German car, and it's the same with the manufacturing facility. The heart of this facility is in Germany. We have 62 plants worldwide, and what we've done here in Chattanooga is we've taken everything that we've learned at all of our plants throughout the world, and we've taken the best out of that, and we've placed that right here.
Motoring 2012 on TSN has been brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward.